It is no news that 1 million people will be establishing a new civilization of mankind on Mars in a couple of years, decades to be precise. Even though we are still a long way from making sure, with Elon Musk and NASA at the forefront, slowly but surely we are getting there. Although things appear to be going smoothly, a recent discovery on Mars by Elon Musk and NASA is set to change everything. Did they discover the existence of alien life on Mars? Does this discovery affect our habitation of Mars? Compared to other planets, Mars is the better option. Our nearest neighbors, Mercury and Venus, are like microwaves, which, as you might have guessed, aren't fit for habitation. Such is the sheer amount of temperature waiting to crush the lungs and dry out the skin of any man or spacecraft that even attempts to approach those planets. The two planetary bodies are almost unapproachable, and we try to keep our dreams of becoming extraterrestrial beings in check when considering those hot zones. Other planets would have been better options if only they didn't exhibit cold temperatures far below what the human body could acclimatize to. Let's not even talk about the long-forgotten dwarf planet of Pluto. Agencies like NASA and SpaceX have set up a renewed push to discover how convenient it would be to live on any of these planets. What we have now is a frantic rush to locate the slightest sign of life within the crust of Mars, the only planet that is possibly habitable. We put a probability on it due to the several unknown factors that have prevented humans from making a birth on the Martian soil. Several things include the dense atmosphere and, yes, the inherent cold. Mars might not be as cold as the other planets, but it still has a fairly crushing atmospheric pressure that is dangerous to human health. Although the numerous gases that combine to form the atmosphere are less volatile than observed in other worlds, making it the most promising in any case. We are way past trying to consider the possibility of Mars having once been a great civilization and used to have people, or aliens, as you might prefer in sci-fi movies. It is high time we embrace the fact that we are the only ones existing in the solar system, and Earth has only just evolved enough to be able to accommodate all of us. Other planets are not so friendly. Elon Musk has been preening eye to eye with NASA's research through their probes and rovers that have been sent into the Martian atmosphere to check out the solid natural landscapes and see if the red planet is comparable to our Earth. It is fascinating what has been discovered in the last 5 years, with the potential discovery of water trails, underground rivers, geysers, and possibly springs that may have existed at some point in the planet's evolution. Scientists are looking for signs of water that have made progress through NASA's Curiosity rover, which poked in the right spots and discovered smooth, rounded pebbles in what appeared to be a river path. The river must have been at least ankle to hip deep, but is nowhere to be found now. It is all dried up, along with several lakes surrounding Mount Sharp, a unique landform on Mars. The rock of Mount Sharp stands at about 1,000 feet high and could very well have been just mud under a vast body of water that once flowed in that region known as the Gale Crater. Carbon dating would probably tell us that the rivers and lakes in this area might have existed for 1 million years. Whatever the source of the brute force that carved out the crater is unclear to us, but it looks like it has been there for a while. As usual, some of the things worth considering when evaluating if there ever was a body of water like that would be to examine if it could have supported living microbes. Hence, the Curiosity rover took a few scoops of soil samples here and there for analysis. The result from the robotic rover showed that the sample had key ingredients sulfur, nitrogen, oxygen, phosphorus, and carbon. Curiosity obtained the samples by drilling in what the scientists have chosen to refer to as the sheep bed mudstone. These essential elements should open up a door in your mind when you realize just how important these elements are to any life here on Earth. And if it is found on Mars as well, we are allowed to dream of plants and microorganisms being able to thrive on the crust of Mars. Other material content of the samples included clay and certain salts. This led scientists to conclude that the water that once flowed there was fresh water and equally drinkable. Scientists ruled out the possibility of it being salt water because the salt content was determined to be too low. The Mars rover also found more organic rocks in the rock beds of Mars. Unlike earlier expeditions, the Curiosity rover was armed with a special drill that could allow it to make holes in rocky formations, thus efficiently extracting samples from the rocks. Mind you, these samples do not represent the possibility of life ever existing on Mars in the past or present, but it could bode well for the future. I mean, why not? We are seeing the signs of raw ingredients important to support life, which is a good way to start. Some of these ancient organic materials can be used to support new studies. Basically, we feel like we now know more about the nature of the red planet. It also sets our thought in the right direction. Another incredible discovery is the presence of active methane in the atmosphere. The Mars rover is equipped with a laser technology referred to as the Tunable Laser Spectrometer, capable of detecting atmospheric methane levels. It can tell us if there is an increase in the level of methane over a period. Why is this discovery of methane a win-win? Methane is considered to be one of the core carbon compounds that is easily produced by living organisms. This further brings forth the possibility that microorganisms or plants can thrive on Mars. Although there has been no such observation to prove that they currently exist, scientists are exploring the other option. The methane might have been produced due to the rocks and water constantly reacting together. There is no evidence of water on the surface of Mars, so it's hard to put the finger on what could have been increasing the methane levels in the atmosphere. If there's anything we are scared of about Mars, it is the alarming radiation levels, as if that is not bad enough already on Earth. NASA has refused to send astronauts to Mars because the radiation is too high for them to operate without personal protective equipment. Considering that, it might set back plans to occupy the planet for a few years. The rover has also discovered the galactic cosmic rays that are often produced from supernova explosions and solar energetic particles that are emitted from solar flares and high-energy release from the Sun. These rule out Mars exploration for humans, and it could continue to be so. Elon Musk seems to know how to overcome the radiation and the possible low temperature that plagues the Mars atmosphere. According to him, we could heat it up a bit with our own form of planet thermostat. Otherwise, we can only dream of coming up with safer ways by which astronauts can land on Mars and actually do some work that will ultimately benefit human progression from being Earthlings to Martians. There might be a couple of silver linings for which we will have to thank the Mars atmosphere, such as the heavy constituents of hydrogen, carbon, and argon in their isotopic forms. They seem to give us a clue into what the original atmosphere of Mars was like and how it could mean that it used to have so much water flowing across and beneath the surface. We have always asked questions about how Mars lost its water. If we are to proffer an answer concerning the observations of the MAVEN orbiter, it pretty much lost all its water through the top of the atmosphere. For us, that might mean some intense evaporation caused by heat from the sun, but wouldn't all that fall back to the ground when the clouds finally cool? Unless the water cycle operates differently on Mars. The planet is simply too barren to be compared to Earth, which remains a mystery. Much like every other impediment that once stood in the way of mankind's advancement, we will surely overcome this one someday. The spacecraft that will lift off settlers on Mars is very well near completion. The Starship is huge and work is progressing with its design. We hope the groundwork on Mars will be able to catch up with our rapidly expanding space exploration gadgets. We cannot wait to have our mini metropolis on Mars with billions of people living in the new world. The cosmos is enormous, and we are just taking up another space in it for ourselves. Maybe we cannot conquer it all, but we will try.